I really don't normally carry a watch, or I haven't for years. I've got all kinds of watches, wrist watches and stuff, but like a wrist watch for me, they're just an annoyance. You're always hooking on stuff. I get my hands in places where a wristwatch really doesn't work. So, you know, uh, normally, like a lot of people, I carry my phone, or I have for years, and that seems to work as a watch. But what I'm trying to do is get away from carrying the phone any more than I absolutely have to. Because I don't need to be in constant communication with people. I prefer not to. And there's always a chance of breaking the phone, or losing it. So it's a lot easier if I don't have to carry it with me. Because like I said, people really don't need to get a hold of me. So I decided I was going to take a look in town for a pocket watch. Now, years ago, well, ever since I was a little kid, I used to buy those West clocks made this Bullseye pocket watch. They used to sell for like $1 or $2. No, they weren't a real fancy watch. They were a cheap watch. But they always did the job. They were supposed to keep time to within like 3 minutes a day or something, which was good enough, for like $1 watch. They've been making them since the 30s, and I thought they'd still make them, though I was thinking, it's going to cost me $10 now. Well, I found out when I was in town, they quit making them, which is a shame. I think they were like every kid's first watch. Well, they made the Bullseye and they made the Scotty. But they're both, really cheap watches. But good enough. They did the job. Well, even now, I don't normally need to have a watch, but sometimes, if you got to be someplace at a certain time, it's nice to have something a little more accurate than just looking at the sun. So, like I say, I was going to look for a Bullseye. Well, I found out they quit making them like in the 80s or late 70s. I know the last one that I had, they used to have like a stainless case, and the last one I had, well, they had a plastic crystal on them. And some of them had started coming out with the quartz movement rather than the old wind-up ones. Used to be, they were guaranteed to run like 30 hours on a wind. If you didn't wind them too tight. Because they were really not, if you could get a year out of one of those Bullseye watches, you were doing good. Because there was a lot that could go wrong with them. And even now, then I thought, well, I looked on eBay. Well, you can buy them, but most of them don't run. Most of them have got cracked crystals on, because they were kind of a disposable watch. But I think they were a good enough watch until Timex came out, with their wrist watches that you could buy for like $5 that would run seemingly forever. I had one of them for like 10 years. They were a reliable watch and probably a better timekeeper than than what the Bullseye was. But like I say, the Bullseye was good enough. But not available. Unless you want to pay, like on eBay, you can get them for $30 or $40. But for a disposable watch, that's a lot of money. And most of them don't run or have a lot of damage to them. So I ended up going into Walmart and buying this for $11.49. Well, it's some piece of Chinese work. And it's a quartz movement, but it's supposed to run for like 3 years on that battery. And one advantage it has over the Bullseye, it does have a cover that closes over it. So you at least won't break the crystal, though the cover will probably break off. And it's got a really crappy chain that I'm going to have to, well, I'll swap out with this leather one instead, because they hook on everything and they're just depressed links that they'll pull apart. They're not a good chain. actually a fob makes a lot more sense. You know, all my pants have got watch pockets in them, and if you put them in there and just have the fob, because the chain will hook on stuff. You know, my other option was this one here, which is, it's a Majestic. Now, I ended up with that watch from, I was at an auction sale, and they had this little black leather valise that had stuff in it. It looked like a doctor's bag, but they weren't able to get it to open. So you were kind of buying a pig in a poke. But I think I bid like $5 on this, you know, mystery bag. And when I got it home, I got it open, and well, then it had quite a few interesting items in it. And there was a bunch of old thresh machine manuals and stuff like that. It was quite a bargain. But this watch was in there also. And it's old. It's like 100 years old. And when I got it, it didn't run. You know, this was like 30 or maybe 40 years ago that I bought this bag. So I brought it in to a jeweler, and he took it apart and he cleaned it and oiled it and put a new crystal on it, because the crystal was kind of scratched up. Because there again, you know, it doesn't have a cover that goes over it, so you got to wear it with the crystal toward your body. But even then, eventually they get kind of ratty. But it's a good watch, you know. It's got many jewels in it and stuff. You know, it's a much better movement than the Bullseye ever was. And it was funny when I went then back to the jeweler to pick it up. You know, I asked him, how much stuff? Oh yeah. Well, I said nothing. He said it was just a joy working on one of these again. That you know, you don't get those in anymore. You know, all the new, you know, they make watches now that are made to look old that are really no better than what this one is, you know, but it's a fashion thing more than anything else. But to work on a real old precision watch, he was just thrilled. He thought that was cool. So he gave me even the new crystal. Didn't even charge me for it, you know, which I thought was cool. Well, I haven't used it for years. It's actually one of them things where it's better than I like to carry, because I don't want to damage it, you know, because I get in awkward places and it could easily get broken or lost. So I think I'll have to have that one cleaned again, and I doubt if that jewelry store is even there, or if anybody even knows how to work on those watches anymore, but I'll check. I know he said when he had the back off, then when he was working on it, he had scrawled his initials in the back. You know, they used to do that to keep track of when it was last serviced and stuff. So I'll have to see. It'd be kind of cool if that guy still works there. But, you know, times change. You know, the whole idea that you can't buy a Bullseye anymore just kind of upset me. You know, they were cool. You know, horrible for a watch. I mean, they were not a good watch, but they were cheap and they did the job. And now you get this Chinese stuff. But I'll have to have this worked on sometime. You know, I think it'd be cool if I could get that same guy back there, you know, if he's still in that same place. But like I say, places change. Because this one, it runs, but it tends to want to stop, you know, then you got to wiggle it, then it'll take off again. I think it's just dry, you know. I think it needs to be oiled. I think the spring in there kind of binds. And I had the back off where I looked at it, and it's really, you know, I've worked on watches before, like on my old Bullseye. I used to take them apart all the time. But this is a little too intricate for an amateur to be poking around in there. So I think I'll let a professional take a look at it. But in the meantime, I can use this. I think it was $11.49. But the fact that it closes, you know, that's kind of a advantage to it. You know, and the battery is fine. Because in Bullseye, I used to kill them by overwinding them. You know, then I have to take them apart to kind of release the tension on the spring. But it was sad to see. Well, okay, and like I say, I think it's Waltham that made these, the Majestic. I actually have a brass watch case that's made to fit these. But it's cool, you know, it's kind of an Art Deco kind of thing. That's the one thing, downside to this watch is it's very hard to read the numbers, you know, they're, you know, like some clocks are that way. That's where this one at least, okay, that's pretty straightforward. You know, you can tell what time it is by one glance. But it's cool. So I'll have to get that one going again. But I think in the meantime, I'm going to put this strap on this watch because I know that chain is going to get hooked on a branch or something and I'll lose her. Or, like I say, a fob really makes more sense. But this makes me think of something too. Like I say, this is called a Majestic. Well, in my quirky, eclectic music appreciation kind of things, I'll recommend there's a tune on, it's on YouTube, called Majestic. Now it's by a band called Wax Fang. Now I don't know how to do links to stuff, but if you look up, you know, if you just type in on the search on YouTube, Wax Fang Majestic, you'll find it. I have to think of this because I woke up one morning and with that tune running in my head, you know, and you can get a tune like that stuck in your head, and this is one that really sticks. So go ahead and listen to that. It's kind of like a plague. You get that thing stuck in your head, but pretty cool, you know. But like I say, my music tastes are pretty eclectic, but I got a kick out of that one. And it's the kind of thing that you listen to and then you want to listen to again and again and again, and then it sticks in your head. So, you know, go ahead, look up Wax Fang. You can handle that curse. But it's called Majestic.